Welcome to the channel, and with 2021 coming to an end, I figured what better time than now to do a 2022 bingo card. So we are going to be going over all the heroes I want to see added to Fire Emblem Heroes next year. If I hit bingo, we can think of some kind of punishment. Maybe you can drop an idea for the punishment down in the comment section down below. But for now, let's jump into the units I want to see. So first and foremost, Boyd. Boyd needs to be added to Fire Emblem Heroes. I cannot believe we are in 2022, 5 years after release, and we still don't have Boyd in this game. Boyd is one of the first characters you get in Path of Radiance. He's one of the OG members of the Grail's Mercenaries, and he's still not in Fire Emblem Heroes. It's absolutely insane. Both Oscar and Rolf are already in the game, though Rolf is a seasonal. It doesn't even matter. Like, Boyd needs to be in this game, absolutely. He's getting done as dirty as the Dawn Brigade. Like, it's absolutely insane. At this point, I don't care how he comes in. I wouldn't even mind if he was a demote. I just would like him to have a preference weapon of some kind. Doesn't have to be amazing, but just decent enough to make him a little bit special. Next, we have Ethos, and Ethos is one of the major forces in Fire Emblem 7. He's so powerful, so amazing. He plays a major role in the end of the game, and somehow he's still not in it. He's like the perfect candidate for a mythic, and yet instead they gave us Bramimon, which, I mean, that's cool. I like Bramimon, but compared to Bramimon, like, Ethos plays such a bigger role. If it wasn't for Ethos, I wouldn't have even been able to complete the game because the first time I played horribly. I used all the wrong units with no growths, and I couldn't kill anything. So thank God Ethos showed up with his 4 blades and started destroying some things. In Fire Emblem Heroes, I would love to see him be an offense mythic with a massive AoE special. Kind of like Legendary Lilina, but instead of having all the movement of a cav, he just has like a large wide AoE that just hits a whole bunch of rows and destroys everything. I think that'd be super cool. And then whenever his special procs, it charges the special of all allies within 2 spaces by 1. I think it would be cool to have a mythic who's really reliant on activating his special and doing cool, like, giant explosives on the enemy team. I think it would be pretty cool to see, and also it would give Ethos that justice he deserves as a really powerful mage. The next unit is Volug, one of my favorite beast units in all of Fire Emblem. He makes his appearance in Radiant Dawn, and he is the first wolf unit we get before Nyla shows up. And he is such a badass. He doesn't really say much, but he's just such a good unit, and I loved using him. And I would love to see him in Fire Emblem Heroes. The one thing I would love to see Volug come with is Form Shift. Now, in my top 10 skills I wanted to add to Fire Emblem Hero, I made a different form of Form Shift than is typical to the Radiant Dawn version. For me, I would want it to take the C skill up, and then it would keep the unit in beast form no matter what. Not like, even if they are adjacent to non-beast units or non-dragon units, they still stay in beast form. But they do lose their C slot, so they do lose a little bit of power, but they get to stay transformed. I think that would be a nice addition to the game, and it would give a little bit more versatility to beast units. Next, we have Glenn from Sacred Stones, the older brother of Cormac. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, but when I played Sacred Stones, I just really liked this character, much more than I liked Cormac. And when he died, I was just completely heartbroken, because I was really hoping we would get a chance to recruit him. But instead, we get to recruit Cormac. And if you do beat the creature campaign, you actually do get to recruit Glenn, but he doesn't have like any supports or anything. None of his like really shining personality comes through, which is kind of unfortunate, but it's still cool to get a chance to use him. So I would love to see him just added to the game in Faye. I'm not sure what he would like do, if he'd have any like preference weapon or anything. Even if he was just added as a GHB with good art, I would love that, and I would still probably build him. The last unit on the first row is Duo Nephne. If you did not know, Nephne is my favorite female character in all of Fire Emblem, hands down. No one beats Nephne. And she came just a little bit too early in Fire Emblem Heroes, to be honest. She was a really solid unit when she came out with her Slaying Lance. And even her Refine was pretty decent when it came out, but she is not aged the best. Her stats are like super outdated, and her weapon doesn't really do much anymore. So I would love to see a new Nephne come, and I would love to see a Radiant Dawn version. Personally, I would love to see her come with Mia. I know that Mia already has a harmonic unit, but her and Nephne are just like my ultimate pair. I've always used them together in game. They always like do 2-woman teams. They just go in and destroy a side of the map by themselves. So I would love to see them together. And as for a kit, I've actually thought about this a bit, and I would love her to be the master of true damage. So I would want her to have a Luna Arc-esque ability built into her lance, where she deals 25% of the foe's defense as true damage. Then she would get like +5 all those stats and like a -1 special cooldown, your pretty typical stuff. But then she would also have, whenever her special procs, she ignores damage reduction. So this would let her just be a complete tank buster and just let her absolutely destroy things. Then maybe she could come with like Frenzy or no follow-up and then Time's Pulse in the C slot, so that way she could have her special charge before battle, she could go in and hit really hard, get hit back, and then take somebody out with the second special. For her duo skill, I would want it so that it grants all units within 2 spaces Canto 3 for that 1 turn, and it can be used once per map. So it would essentially give Nephne the ability to just run in super deep, hit somebody and kill them, and then Canto back out. I think that would be absolutely amazing. If her art was good, it would be like an instant +10. I wouldn't even waste any time. Oh, it's like one of my dream units, to be honest. Next, we have our 3 houses Tsundere, Felix. And I know that we've been getting spam with 3 houses and everybody's pretty tired of it. I completely understand. But the fact that Felix is not in Faye yet is absolutely mind-bending. And I know what you're thinking. There is a Christmas version of Felix. Well, I don't count that. That does not exist to me because there's no way Felix would ever wear a Christmas outfit. And I know that's the point. That was the same point with Jafar, but I like my edgy boys full of edge and destroying things. So I need a normal version of Felix in the game. I don't care if it's pre-time skip or after time skip. He looks amazing either way, but I would like him to have a preference weapon and a preference skill. So I would like to see Sword of Moralta show up on him. It's technically not like his unique weapon, but it pretty much is. I would like to see if it had special cooldown, and then when he is solo, it gets +6 to all his stats. And then kind of like an ode to his Lone Wolf skill, which gives +5 damage when he's not tied to a battalion. But in Faye, I would like to see it add +15% of his speed as true damage per hit. And then after defeating an enemy, he heals for 50% of the max HP, because Sword of Moralta in 3 houses kind of has like a healing effect. So I think that'd be pretty cool. And so that would essentially make him be able to like go in and like destroy things and then heal after combat and like kind of stay as that lone wolf unit who can just take on people by himself. Also, I would like to see Aegis Shield as his preference B skill, because that would be kind of like a nod to the fact that the shield requires his crest. And that would grant Felix 30% damage reduction flat, no speed check or any stat check, and then also no follow-up. And this would just let Felix be a really powerful one-man army. It would be really cool to see, and I think it would do Felix a lot of justice that he actually deserves. It's one of the most popular units from 3 houses. Next, we have Dagnessia, and he is technically in the game already. He got that Halloween ult, but that was not nearly powerful enough to be his true form. In the game, Radiant Dawn, he is just extremely powerful. He's like a legendary dragon. They did get his model correct, though. His model looks amazing, so I would definitely keep that. But I think that they need to do is give him a preference weapon, and when he doesn't move, he gets +10 to resistance and defense and 30% damage reduction. And that would be a great nod to the fact that Goldoa will not move. Next, we have Dart, just like one of the old school pirate units from FE7. I don't really need anything amazing from him. I think he could be a cool demote, and he could come with an inheritable version of Ninja Masakiri axe, so that way he can still have the dual wielding like axes that he has like in FE7. To be honest, I was kind of surprised they didn't add him on the pirate banner last year, so maybe they'll add him this year. We'll have to wait and see. Now we have Joffrey from FE9, and Joffrey is just one of those lovable characters. I love his personality so much. He's so reliable and dependable, and he just really cares about Valencia so much. And their relationship is just absolutely amazing in that game and in Radiant Dawn. So I would love to see him get added, and I would love to see him have a preference weapon. I'd like to see a dual phase Brave Lance that maybe had some like kind of healing attached to it. And that way he could be kind of like a bulky blue cab that could go in and like destroy some things with brave weapons, but then also like protect himself. And the fact that if it was like healing based per hit, so like 7 healing per hit, and he had a dual phase brave weapon, he could like get hit pretty hard and then he could attack twice back and heal for 14. I think that'd be pretty cool and unique and would suit Joffrey's like vibe as a unit. So that'd be amazing. I would love to see that. Hopefully he does get added in. I'm kind of sad that he didn't get added in when Astrid and everybody else was added, but I guess there just wasn't that much room on the banner. You know what they could do to fix that though is they can make separate Radiant Dawn and Path of Radiance banners, just saying. The next unit is a mythic I've been waiting for literally forever. It's the one mythic that could come from Sacred Stones, and we still haven't got it yet. It makes no sense. We're getting all these OC mythics, but we haven't got for Mortis. For Mortis, the main villain of Sacred Stones, the absolute monster. He could be a dark mythic, and Fallen Eldar kind of stole some of my like ideas for him, because my idea was that he would be an armored beast, right? And you have Leon as the base form, but then when he transforms into his beast form, he turns into a giant form Mortis. I think that would be absolutely amazing. His weapon would be Ravage, and it would be a -1 special cooldown, and it would inflict -6 attack and defense, and would have special fighter built in. And then he would also have the effect, whenever his special procs, you added Luna to that special. So like essentially you could choose to have like a healing special like Soul, but then you would have Luna attached to it too, as well. And that would be kind of a callback to his Pierce ability in Sacred Stones. Also, he would have a preference C skill called Nightmare. And I think this would really kind of exude the presence of Mortis that was in Sacred Stones. Like he would really be scary and intimidating to be fighting against in Ether raids. And what Nightmare would do is it would hit one column each turn, and it would do 20 damage down the column and inflict anyone hit with panic and isolation. And it would just be absolutely horrifying. It would make it so that players had to really pay attention to their positioning on their map, or they could just get completely destroyed. And I think that'd be really cool. So it would be like turns 1 through 6, I guess, like one column for each turn, and then turn 7, like nothing would happen. So it would be like a cool version of like a fusing like Fallen Edelgard with Duma. I think that would just be absolutely amazing, and it would be so cool, and I hope that Mortis does get added eventually. Next we have Zweis, and I just love Wyvern Flyers. It's like one of my favorite archetypes in Fire Emblem. Typically they're female, so we have like Minerva and Jill and stuff, but in Fire Emblem 6 we got Melody and Zweis, and I just love them as a sibling pair. I love their story of betraying Burn and like trying to make a change. And then I think Zweis is like one of the few characters I still want for Fire Emblem 6. Mostly everybody else has been added, so I could see him as like a fun little demote. He probably wouldn't get like a preference weapon or anything, but that's fine. I would still build him up just to like have a cool like arena assault unit. Okay, next we have the best daddy in Fire Emblem, Grail. Grail is by far the best father in any Fire Emblem. I love him. I love his relationship with Ike and Mist and his amazing backstory. So I would love to see a duo version of Grail, and it would be Grail plus a young Ike. And you could just have amazing conversations between the two of them. It would be so awesome and heartwarming, and it would just mean the world to me. Also, this would not count as duo Ike, just to be clear. It would be like Ephraim, where Ephraim is like, there's duo Ephraim, but then there's also Ephraim on duo Erica. It would be like that. Grail would be an infantry unit, and he would have Stalwart Irvin. So it would essentially be like the Irvin from Brave Ike, but they would add, you know, a little bit more to it. So he would get stats on it. So like probably like +5 to all stats, and then also have a special fighter built in. And what this would do is would allow Grail to charge up his ethers, obviously, and it would also let him have that guard effect, so he could just be a really powerful tank. I would see him probably being pretty slow, but having really good defense and resistance and attack. And kind of just being a new monster. Like, I guess he would be like the new Brave Ike of a new generation. As for his duo skill, the best fitting thing for Grail, who just loves to protect everyone, would be a damage reduction duo skill. You press it and everyone within like a 3x3 around him would just get damage reduction. So he's like kind of protecting them, and you could have like that fatherly feel of Grail protecting you. I would love that. I think that would be absolutely amazing, and I would love to see him added. Next, we have our free spot for Faye. She's just there to take up a little room and give that free spot for the bingo. After that, we have Guy, and Guy is the OG Swordmaster for me. He is the Swordmaster in my very first Fire Emblem 7, and him alongside Lyn were just amazing. I loved using them together. I loved that he was like Sakayan, and that he could just dodge tank everything and destroy people. Also, he was one of the first units I recruited from the enemy, so it was a really like unique experience for me back then, and it really attached him to me. I just loved using him. I used him all the way through my first playthrough, even though he wasn't very good, to be honest. I think he had like really low attack. I can't remember. Either way, I'd love to see him add to Faye. I'm not really particular on which way he's added, if he comes with preference weapon or not, but I would just like to see him with some good art and maybe like a nice stat line. After that, we have Stefan, another amazing Swordmaster, but from Telly's this time. And Stefan just has a heartbreaking story in Radiant Dawn. His life as a brand is super rough. I could see him coming with like vague Caudy and like having a cool preference weapon like that, but the most important thing to me that he comes with is Wild Heart. Now, not the Wild Heart that is in the actual Tellius games, but my own version of it. So in my top 10 skills video I wanted added, I made a Wild Heart version where essentially what it does is it allows that unit to count as a beast so that other beasts can transform around them. And I think that would be just amazing, right? Like maybe it gives a little bit of stats too, but it would allow you to like customize your team so that you could have normal units alongside beast units and they could still transform and do cool things. And it'd be such a nice touch because Stefan is a branded person. I think it would just open up so many strategies and really allow more people to use beast more often. Throughout Faye, we've gotten so many villains, but somehow we still have not gotten Nurgle. It makes no sense to me. It drives me insane. We have like 7 Lins, but we don't have a single Nurgle, and he's like such an amazing villain. I know a lot of people don't like the FEH 7 story, but to me it was pretty solid. It wasn't too bad, and he was just such an intimidating villain throughout. His in-game sprite is so massive, and he's just so intimidating and powerful, and so we need Nurgle in Faye, and he needs to be a mythic, and he needs to have an amazing sprite. His preference weapon would be a Reshkigal, and it would essentially cause a 4-space menace ability, but it hits everyone within the 4 spaces, not just the closest unit. And then he would gain bonuses based off the enemy's penalties. It would give the feeling of him sucking the strength from his enemies. And then he would have a preference speed skill, Quintessence, and what that would do is -5 attack and res, and if the enemy has a penalty on them, he heals for 30% of the damage done and makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. Essentially what this would do is let him be a very tanky, powerful mage, and you could put close counter on him and then he could just fight everybody. It would feel amazing him to just like suck the strength and the HP from them and give that real Nosferatu feel you have in the base FE games. Now I'm not a massive fan of Fates, as you might know, but Scarlett was one of the few characters I really enjoyed, and unfortunately Fates didn't treat her the best. But I would love to see her in Fire Emblem Heroes, maybe some kind of unique build or weapon. I'm not sure exactly, I haven't thought about it too much, but she's like one of the few Fate characters I'm really waiting for. So hopefully she can make it in on the next Fates banner. Now every Halloween we're having this trend of getting new dragon units, and so why not get Nasir? I love Nasir, he has such a major role in Path of Radiance. Such a great character with like a gray morality, and he does such interesting things throughout the story. We've gotten Enna and Kurthnaga, so why not get Nasir in the Halloween banner this year? Maybe he could be a free-to-play unit with a powerful inheritable breath. That'd be awesome. I just want to see him in Fire Emblem Heroes so we can have that Goldoa family complete. Speaking of powerful Tellius units, let's talk about Saffron. Saffron has gotten done dirty. He got put on the Christmas banner, and he did come with a very powerful skill in auto recovery, but it just doesn't suit Saffron. He's such a noble and powerful person. He needs to have his base form, and in my opinion, he would do amazing as a mythic. He's such a cool character with such a great lore, and he could have such unique effects. I would love him to be our first mythic healer, and he could come with the Sheriff Staff. And in my opinion, a Sheriff Staff could have Razzle and Dazzle built in, and whenever he heals, it heals everyone around the target he's healing, and whenever he deals damage, it does damage around everyone he's damaging. It would also have a drive guard and odd even recovery built in. So essentially at the beginning of each turn, he would heal everybody around him and remove penalties. And so this would be a very powerful mythic to have on defense, not only because of the Razzle and Dazzle, but because he could also remove all the isolation, and that drive guard could really stop people from gale forcing your team. I could also see him coming with a preference heal that gives a formations buff and gives no panic until the beginning of next turn. Overall, Mythic Saffron would be a very annoying unit to fight in defense, and he would also offer a lot of support, which really suits him as a character. Now there was no way we were going to go through this whole bingo with only one Three Houses character. So next we have to talk about my favorite Three Houses girl, Petra. Petra has been added to Fire Emblem Heroes, but she was done dirty. Her preference weapon is bad. It's like effective against beasts and like +5 to all stats with some horrible conditions, and she's like a blue dagger. It's just, she's not great to be honest. And it just doesn't live up to Petra in Three Houses, because she is one of the best units in that game, easily. So I would love to see her come time skip with the amazing art, the amazing hair. She could either be like a badass dagger or sword infantry. And what I would love to see is like, after she kills an opponent, she gets a teleport canto. And what that means is like, she could like run in deep, kill somebody, and then afterwards she can teleport to an ally anywhere on the team. And that would just make her like a true assassin, and it would be so cool and unique. It would piss everybody off, and I would just love that. And I think that would allow Petra to really make a big splash in the Fire Emblem Heroes meta, which would be amazing for me as a big fan. Next on the list is Big Daddy Nolan, one of the members of the Dawn Brigade, which has to be one of the most horribly treated groups we've had in Faye. We literally only have Soth and Micaiah, and there are so many great characters in that Dawn Brigade that we still haven't gotten yet. But out of all of them, Nolan is my favorite. I love his father-like figure in the group, and he's the only axe user you get in the Dawn Brigade, so he's so cool. He also gets a legendary weapon in Radiant Dawn, which is cool, Tarvos. So I could see him coming out, maybe being a free-to-play unit with Tarvos, and it could be like plus defense and maybe a defense-based damage reduction, something like that. Nothing too crazy, but pretty simple and powerful. Our next powerful woman is the Queen of Johanna, Ismare herself, the mother of Joshua. She is one of the most badass women we have in Fire Emblem. She essentially is a sword master who reigns over the country of Johanna. And in Sacred Stones, they tell a very simple story of her and Joshua, but for some reason it like really impressed me and I really loved it. And that's one of the reasons why Joshua has been one of my favorite characters since I've played Sacred Stones. For a long time, he was my favorite character, just because he's like such a whimsical and fun character. And then you find out he's like this badass prince who's left his country and is now coming back, and his mother gets killed and he's coming out for revenge against Kalik. It's just, I don't know why, but it just made me love Joshua so much, and in return love Ismare. So I would love to see her added to Faye, maybe as like a GHB or Tempest Trial unit. And she could come with a new version of Aldhuma. I'm not sure what Aldhuma would do, but maybe they could give it to Joshua too so he could have a better weapon. Now we have another great father from Fire Emblem series, Rodrigue. Rodrigue is one of my favorite characters from Three Houses. He's plays such a major role in Silver Moon, and his relationship with Dimitri as that surrogate father is just so touching. Like, I don't want to make everyone mad, but Silver Moon is by far the best route, and the reason for that is because of Rodrigue and Dimitri's relationship and the development of Dimitri's character, him dealing with his mental illness and struggling to move past that horrible moment in his life. And while Byleth does play a major role in that, to be honest, it's really Rodrigue that pulls Dimitri out of that darkness. It is such a touching moment, and it's one of the few moments in Three Houses that made me cry. Because it wasn't just sad, but it was also seeing Dimitri finally realize what he had done and who he had become, and seeing just a little bit of light and how he could get out of that. And that's really all due to Rodrigue and his influence. So he's definitely one of my favorite fathers in Three Houses. I do like Geralt a lot, but I think I like Rodrigue the most. Anyway, as a unit in Faye, I could definitely see him being a mage cav. Maybe he could have Canto built into his weapon, so he's a bit unique. That would be awesome. I'm not sure what else they could do. I'm sure they could think of some interesting things. But just seeing Rodrigue in the game would make me feel so much better. Next, we're going to move into our last two units, and they're both legendaries. First, we have one of the most awesome villains in the whole franchise, Zephiel. He's one of those great villains alongside Leon and Black Knight. He's the pinnacle of intimidation and power and strength in FE6. He's like that emperor who can just take over nations, invade, and destroy. And he really just exudes that power every time you see him. He also has that ultra cool badass animation where his like sword comes out and he just spins around in a circle and destroys people. That has to be in this game. Like, if they don't add that, that's actually a crime. But what also makes Zephiel such a great character is his tragic backstory you get to see in FE7. He wasn't always this imperial, world-destroying enemy. He was just a boy who really wanted his father's affection, but wasn't able to get it. And how that turned him towards the dragons and his dragon-loving and him really wanting to open the gates and destroy the world. So I would love to see a legendary version of him. We did get the normal version like in year 1, and it was pretty solid for a while, though he's definitely outdated nowadays. I can see him getting a new version of Ekisax where it has like really cool lightning animations and that spinning animation for the specials to kill things. I'm not sure what kind of preference skill he could have. Maybe he could have a cool save skill that has some kind of dragon interaction. Like he could save for a dragon anywhere on the map. I don't know. But it would be cool just to see a new version of Zephiel with some new art and really show him some love as a great villain. Lastly, we have the legendary I want the most, the one I have been waiting for, legendary Valencia. Valencia is one of the best characters in Fire Emblem franchise. She's absolutely phenomenal. Her story in Path of Radiance is like touching and motivating, and just seeing how courageous she is to save her country is just phenomenal. Like, if you have not played Path of Radiance, you are doing yourself a disjustice. You need to go play it. And I feel like Valencia definitely needs more versions in Fire Emblem Heroes. She does have that nice dancer version, but in all honesty, we need a healer Valencia. And so I think her being the first healing legendary just makes complete sense. I'd love to see her as a flyer and carrying the Matrona staff. And I would love the Matrona staff to have Razzle and Dazzle built in. I think that should just be a requirement for new premium healers, so that way they can open up their B slot and get more versatility in their builds. Anyways, I'd like to see Matrona have the ability where whenever she heals, she removes all penalties and gives +6 to all stats to the unit and everyone around them. Also, she would come with a new healing special that also dealt damage. So you could deal damage to an ally and then it would heal allies within like 2 spaces, something like that. It'd be pretty cool. And it would be inheritable. And then lastly, she would come with a preference assist skill that would not only heal your target, but also dance them. So that you could combine two of the most powerful assist abilities in the game on one unit. And I think that would be phenomenal for a legendary. It would let her be really cool in ether raids as well as in arena. Valencia deserves at least that much. She's such a great character and she deserves to have a powerful kit and to be extremely unique. Well, those are the units I am looking forward to seeing in 2022. What are the units you're looking forward to? Drop a comment down below telling me the unit you have to see this year, and also drop a comment telling me what you think of the units I chose. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe, and I'll catch everyone tomorrow with more Fire Emblem Heroes. See you then. Bye.